The 2024 Commodity Classic is hitting full stride, and we are in high gear to keep up with what is happening in the world of soy. We are talking market development and the priorities of the United Soybean Board and how partnerships with ASA and USSEC are helping to advance the goals of the entire industry.
Live from Leap Day via Farm Journal broadcast, this is AgriTalk. This morning we sailed the seas of soy with a cast of several soy seers. Directly following the news, Greg Henderson from Drovers. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson, and now the host of AgriTalk, Chip Flory.
All right, Davis. Hey, buddy. Welcome to Houston. How's things going?
Oh, really, really great. Yeah.
Good. Things are moving along very nicely down here at Houston at the Commodity Classic as well. Big thank you to the United Soybean Board for making our coverage from Commodity Classic possible. You can learn more about USB and the investments that you are making in the future of the soybean industry at www.unitedsoybean.org. Dude, we've got an incredible lineup. We've got the leadership of ASA, USSEC, USB. We're going to talk priorities. We're going to talk partnerships. We're going to talk market development.
Yeah, I mean, we sail the seas of soy with a cast of several soy seers. That's as close as I could get. I mean, I'm not going to list them all out here because we've got some heavy hitters, and I didn't want to miss anybody. This is going to be a great show, dude.
That's exactly right. I was pretty impressed with that open there, by the way.
You like that one? You like that?
It's not that often that I have to drop just a blatant compliment your way.
Oh, well, thank you.
That was very good.
I did work on it a little bit. Yeah, there were revisions and stuff along the way. It's been a journey, Chip.
Yeah, I'll bet. I bet there's revisions right up to the last second on something like that, dude.
Indeed.
Yep. It's just fun to be around people that are looking to do something that will influence the future of their industry in a positive way.
Man, I love that.
And as we sit here at USB and talk about all the plans, talk about all the initiatives, talk about all of the farmer-based efforts that are underway, like I said, to have that positive influence on the future that of the industry that they're all involved in, it's just fantastic. It is fantastic to be part of it, dude.
Well, I can't wait to hear what they've got to say today.
You bet. All right, let's go ahead and get things started with the news. What do you got?
We'll start with the National Weather Service weather outlook. Heavy snow over parts of the Cascades, the northern Intermountain region, northern Rockies, northern California, and Sierra Nevada mountains. Heavy lake effect snow southeast of Lake Ontario and over the upper Great Lakes. Rain from the Gulf Coast to parts of northern Mid-Atlantic, and shower and thunderstorms along the Central Gulf Coast and the southeast. And Chip, this is kind of a thing here. A sudden shift of wind direction in the Texas Panhandle this week contributed to the explosion in size of the Smokehouse Creek wildfire, which has burned at least 850,000 acres in Texas and another 31,000 acres in Oklahoma. Now the second largest fire in Texas state history, exceeding the size of the state of Rhode Island, Chip. The blaze is still just 3% contained, according to State Forest Services, Chip.
And they are trying to figure out just exactly what the death loss is on the beef cow herd. Some of the initial thoughts coming out of Sid Miller's office, Commissioner of Ag, down in Texas, and we're working to get things confirmed and try to figure out exactly what is going on. But it's big numbers that we're talking about as far as devastation to that beef herd.
Yeah. Well, in January 2024, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index in the U.S. rose compared to the previous month, meeting market expectations and following a downwardly revised increase in December. This increase was driven by a rise in prices for services, while prices for goods decreased. The annual rate of PCE inflation slowed to 2.4%. Chip, that's the lowest since February 2021.
Yeah. We're starting to get some conflicting data now, some with some really positive economic indicators, some not so positive. It's got to be a tough balancing act for the Fed trying to figure out what to do with interest.
Well, Chip, Bitcoin is surging toward its all-time high and racking up its biggest monthly gain since December 2020. The latest bull run, which saw Bitcoin's market cap jump to a staggering $1.23 trillion over the past 24 hours, has been fueled by several factors, including the spot Bitcoin ETF boom that opened the door for mainstream investors.
Yeah, do you know why it's rallying?
Because people keep buying it?
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know.
No. Lawmakers reached a short-term spending agreement. Maybe this is why Bitcoin's so excited. A short-term spending agreement to prevent a government shutdown, extending funding until March 8 for 6 agencies, including USDA. Both chambers still need to vote on the proposal, which would be the 4th stopgap spending measure passed for fiscal year 2024. Kicking it down the road, Chip, another 7 days, apparently. Yep.
That's right. That rattling that you hear is a can rolling down the street. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky, longtime top Senate Republican, announced on Wednesday he'll step down as the party's leader at the end of the year, citing differences in national security views with the party, he says now led by former President Donald Trump. McConnell said he will serve out the rest of his Senate term through 2026.
Got it.
And finally, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a stark warning to NATO, cautioning that any deployment of troops to aid Ukraine could escalate into nuclear conflict. Chip.
Wow. Good grief. Talk about another warning that we need to pay attention to there. Thank you, Davis. Appreciate it, buddy.
You bet.
All right, let's bring in Greg Henderson, editorial director of Drovers. How you doing, Greg?
Well, I'm doing well until I heard that last comment, but maybe we can go on.
Yeah, let's move forward from there. Talk about this calf supply to me, Greg.
We've been talking about.
Wow.
We've been talking about these numbers, Chip, and for the cattle industry, it just keeps spinning. We've got the January 1 estimate of feeder cattle supplies, 24.2 million head. That's down 4.5% over last year. Lowest number for that since 1972. And that current feedlot inventory is a record 59.6% of those supplies. Yeah. What that's telling us is that we've got a lot of those cattle already on feed, and that another way to state that, it means there's just 1.68 feeder cattle out there for every head of animals on feed. So all of these numbers are telling us that this supply is tight, and it's only going to get tighter, right? And that's good for feeder cattle producers that have something to sell.
Yeah.
That's relevant in the profit tracker we saw this week. Those feeder cattle are up 24% from last year. So the total cost of finishing a steer is $423 a head higher than it was last year, Chip. Most of that is the feeder cattle price. Conversely, it's $220 cheaper. The feed is that much cheaper than it was last year. That's because we've got $4 corn or thereabouts. Yeah. In the last drought, 2013, is that when corn hit $8?
Yeah.
So, so this is a really strange setup we've got going here, but the numbers are going to get tighter, and it's going to last longer than we expected.
Exactly. Still got some tightness to factor in here. Great stuff, Greg. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. That's Greg Henderson, editorial director of Drovers. We are live at USB at Commodity Classic.
The truth is hard to come by these days unless you listen to AgriTalk.
Welcome back to AgriTalk. We are live at Commodity Classic in Houston, Texas. Glad that you could be with us today, and I'm very happy to let you know that today's show is sponsored by the United Soybean Board. Thank you so much to USB for making coverage down here at Commodity Classic possible. And there is so much going on in the world of soy. Usually on these sponsored shows, we'll have some industry spotlights throughout the way, but today it is an industry spotlight because we're going to be talking about everything soy. And I've kind of got a co-host. I've got a co-host ready to go with us, Steve Reinhard. He is the chair of USB. Steve, welcome to AgriTalk, man. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Chip. It's great to be here and great to have you in the booth and get to go and tell our story. So
you bet. You bet. Yeah. Steve's going to be with us for the entire morning show here. We've also got Josh Gackle. He is the president of the American Soybean Association. Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you, Chip. It's good to be here and good to be with the group here from the US Soy family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite a partnership that we've got sitting around the table right here, isn't it? And talking about the partnership, let's round it out. Lance Rezac, he is the new chairman of the U.S. Soy Export Council. And when I say new chairman, I mean, we're like 36 hours in here.
I got to get 36 hours under my belt. Oh, yeah. I think things will be starting to change now. No.
Yeah, watch the way it's going to be happening fast.
Maybe not good.
Yeah, yeah. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. What
made you pursue this?
I tell you, it was just kind of fate. I've always been so interested in soy and with these volunteer farmers around us here, I just kind of got started on the soy path. And along the way, I ended up going, holy cow, I think I'm going to be chairman of USSEC.
Yeah.
And so the opportunities, it's just unlimited opportunities with that as far as promoting our U.S. soy all around the world, all our buyers.
Okay. You're excited about it. I mean, I can see it. I can see that you're excited about it. Why? What is it about USSEC? Because, between ASA and USSEC and USB, there's three very distinct, separate jobs that need to be done. But if you're not coordinating, you're working against each other. And so what's got you so excited about the new role?
Well, of course, USSEC, it's a combination of ASA and USB. They formed it. And so there's 4 farmers from each board that are on this board, along with exporters and allied industry. And so we are the culmination of what they want to do with exports and stuff. And we export 60% of our soybeans in the U.S. And if you add in what we feed to animals, it's 65 or 6%. Yeah. So exports are so huge, and we don't want to be the low cost leader. We're not. We were in Brazil. They're going to do the low cost mass volume leading. We have to have, go highlight our sustainability, our quality. We're not deforesting things. We need to get our message out to all these other countries. And surprisingly, even in some of these poorer countries that you wouldn't think would even care about sustainability, they do. The whole world is really getting interested in sustainability. So we got to get those messages out for the U.S. farmers and try to keep our exports up and promote our quality that we have.
Yeah, your job is changing.
It is changing
very dramatically because of changes that are happening in the industry, right?
More important than ever. Because used to be, U.S. was the soy leader. We had them, and then Brazil passed us 3 or 4 years ago, and they're adding so many acres each year, about 5 million acres a year. They get 2 crops off those acres. It's substantial. Yeah. And I seen one report they'd like to add 10 million acres a year. Yeah. So, our job as getting our message out about the U.S. soy is more important than ever right now.
The sustainability angle is something that's always in the back of my mind, Lance. But now that you bring it up, my goodness, it's one of those things that could be a competitive advantage, at least in some markets going forward.
It is. And like I said, it's surprisingly how many markets it is.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a soy sustainability assurance protocol. And actually 70% of the beans shipped out of the U.S., or it's a certificate that goes with them. 70% of the customers requested that certification to go with them. And so their customers can put that label on their soy products that they're selling. Cool. Or even we have fed with U.S. soy now. So if you're growing fish or poultry, you can, with sustainable, you can put that label on your fish or poultry fed with sustainable U.S. soy. Surprisingly important all around the world.
Really?
Yeah. I think, Chip, we have over 1,000 different products overseas that are actually using a U.S. sustainability mark, and some of those things get shipped back into the U.S., but then that's a way too that they can distinguish their product once they get that product fed or made with that sustainable U.S. soy.
Very cool. 1,000 products out there. Josh, what's it like to be part of a team where you've got workhorses pulling in the same direction?
That's right. Well, farmers on these boards are committed to working with each other. We visit very often, even if we're not together at Commodity Classic. We're talking, we're calling each other, we're texting. It's great to work with Lance and with Steve, just excellent leaders of their organizations. ASA's focus, of course, is advocacy and policy in DC. We work on Capitol Hill, working with Congress, House and Senate, trying to move those policy issues that will profit farmers back on their farms. But the partnership with USB and USSEC is what's important in driving demand around the world, like both Steve and Lance have mentioned. So it's a combination of the policy work that we do, and with USB working on demand, funding demand and new research and new products, and then partnership with ASA and USB coming together several years ago, recognizing the need for a devoted organization to building demand around the world and the creation of USSEC.
Yeah. What an exciting time for the biofuel side of your industry, Josh. Dude, this feels like 2005, 2007 for ethanol.
Kind of does, yeah. Well, with all the new crush capacity that's coming online in the U.S. and the industry seeing the need for more renewable fuels, driving that renewable diesel demand, that's one part of it. But the huge potential in the area of aviation and sustainable aviation fuel, I think that's just, we're going to see some news this week, I think, with the announcement from EPA and USDA that puts some more specific numbers into what's going to qualify as feedstock and the tax credits and policy inputs that will provide a bigger market for SAF. So we're going to see that maybe tomorrow. There's going to be some news on that, and that's really exciting. I think it provides just a huge opportunity there for U.S. farmers, and we're ready to meet that. Yeah, and ASA has been working really, really hard to help the decision makers understand just what is at play in this. Absolutely, yeah. Working closely with not just with Congress, but with the regulatory agencies as well. So continual communication with USDA and EPA on how the feedstock that we provide, the renewable oil that we provide, is going to be able to meet that need. Yeah.
Another way, Chip, we can work together with ASA and USSEC is once that bean gets crushed for the oil, we have the meal to export. And we did a study and tried to look at the Port of Grays Harbor and how we can continue to get more meal out of the Port of Grays Harbor. And they were able to help secure some funding through ASA, and USSEC's working on some great Asian markets to get that meal moved. Yeah. Yeah. Doubling up capacity out there at Port of Grays. Yeah. It's a little ways away from being able to load a boat over there, but it all takes time, and sometimes it feels like some of the marketplace are losing patience in the development of the crush capacity and the development of the exports, but it takes time. These are huge projects, Steve. Huge projects, and it's good to have partners like ASA and USSEC to work with us and get those done. So yeah. All right. I got to ask, Lance, if you're new to the job, but you've got to have some thoughts about if 1 year from right now, I want what to be different at USSEC.
Well, I'm not tweaking much. It does a phenomenal job along the way. We got to keep looking at diversification of markets. So China buys 60% of all the beans and bean meal that are traded in the world. Yeah. They take 60% of it. So almost 2/3 of it goes to China. The other third goes to the rest of the world. We got to keep developing these other markets. And we've been doing a lot of I say market development work all around the world. We work with WISH, which is with ASA, and the more I learned about WISH, the more impressed I am. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was in Cambodia and they were teaching people how to do the in-pond raceways, small version, just to teach them how to feed fish so they can feed the population. There's so many people that are so poor in this world. As quick as they get some money, they want protein, you know? And so we're doing a lot of work in a lot of these countries. You got to look at what the next one's going to be. We got these soy excellence centers now, and we have a couple in countries that don't even buy any beans or meal, Nigeria and India. But India, largest population on the earth, most of them are still vegetarian, but as they get money, they're going to want some meat. And so years ago, they exported soybean meal. They had a little window where they actually imported some. I mean, we're not over in India telling the government anything, but we're working with poultry producers, trying to get solutions to their feed and have availability. And so, and then Nigeria they think will be the third largest country. The African markets are going to be huge. The potential there is unbelievable. And so we got to keep working all these. So hopefully my kids will have a good market for their soy. Exactly. 15 seconds. Honestly, Josh, 15 seconds. Okay. Farm bill. Can we get one in 2024? I think we can. I think it gets a little more complicated the later we get in the year. So just urging the chairs of the House and Senate committees to move something quickly here early in the year. Yeah, complicated at the end of the year. I think that's a safe assumption that things are going to get more complicated. You guys
a great team. Thank you so much for being part of the show today. Josh Gackle, ASA, Lance Rezac, USSEC, and Steve Reinhardt's going to stick around here at USB.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
Joining us now, Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady. Beej, some mixed trade going on in the grains. What's happening?
Yeah, actually, mostly firmer here at mid-morning, Chip,
Okay.
and soybeans faced some pretty heavy selling early on. Today is the start of the delivery period for March contracts, and soybean deliveries were heavier than what was anticipated, which put some initial pressure on the market. But corn bounced back, the meal market bounced back, and trading higher, and that's pulled soybeans off their lows and a little bit higher for the day here at mid-morning. So just seeing a general firmer tone, wheat's participating to the upside as well.
Feels like soybean meal market is the market to watch right now.
Yeah, we've been focused on that one here lately, and I think that when it's down, it has a tendency to weigh on markets, especially soybeans. But when it's up, we see days like today, or at least here at mid-morning, where we see general price strength.
Yeah, just take some weight off the rest of the markets if we can get soybean meal to participate in some of the short covering in here. All right, take us over to the livestock trade. We've got some pressure on the cattle complex.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd call moderate losses here at mid-morning in live cattle futures, and then heavy losses in feeders, and just kind of rolling over from a technical perspective and taking out some support levels, and so that's causing the bulk of the pressure there. Still waiting on active cash cattle trade to develop. We'll see if the weakness in the futures has any impact on that or not, but generally expecting steady prices for the week. And then hog futures, they're trading to the upside. The cash market, the gains have slowed, but they continue to rise.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. That is Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady on Markets Now.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. Do you suffer from talking on the radio phobia? No problem. Send us a tweet at #AgriTalk.
Welcome back to AgriTalk, and we are live at the Commodity Classic down in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much to USB for making it possible for us to bring you coverage from Commodity Classic. Don't forget, check it out at www.unitedsoy.org. All right, let's continue the conversation. Steve Reinhard, the USB chair, is sticking with us as co-host here this morning, and let's bring in Lucas into the conversation. Lucas Lentsch is the CEO of USB. Lucas, it's good to see you. How are you?
Chip, I'm doing well. It's great to be with you today.
It's great to talk with you again.
Yeah.
It was shortly after you took the role that I think we last had a conversation.
Literally 12 weeks ago today, the board made the confirmation vote. And so it's been a busy 12 weeks, that's for sure.
Well, it's been a busy 12 weeks, but let's do a little bit more of getting to know you, okay? Because it was a busy career leading up to this move over too.
Yeah.
Tell us about your background.
Just real blessed. Grew up on a family farm in South Dakota, studied agriculture at South Dakota State. Probably the most significant leadership moments in my life have been serving our military as a captain, as a commanding officer in Iraq for a period of time. And then about 15 years ago, got into state leadership, learning Department of Agriculture, ultimately served as Secretary of Ag in South Dakota. And 8 years ago, got involved in checkoff on the dairy side, CEO at Midwest Dairy, and then served on the National Dairy Promotion as an Executive Vice President on the leadership team there. So it's been a sprint.
It has been.
Yeah.
It certainly has. And after the first conversation that we had, then of course you get more interested and you do a little bit more looking. And your fit into USB, I think, is about as hand in glove as it can get, Lucas. The position seems made for you.
Well, I would just say first and foremost, while it's a position that I get to hold, it's the farmer's office. So being in the office of the CEO is really the farmer's voice in the marketplace on their behalf.
Yeah.
In terms of a fit, Chip, I trust farmers, and working for them is a fantastic place to be.
Yeah.
I have a pretty simple mantra. I want to make sure that farmers are making plays and frankly not getting played. And I think I can do that as CEO of United Soybean Board.
I love that. The not getting played. You got to be part of the conversation, don't you, Steve?
Got to be part of the conversation, and we're really happy with what we have in Lucas right now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we really want somebody to come in and work with the farmers and visit with the farmers, and that's what Lucas has done firsthand through the first board meeting. Everybody's been really happy and satisfied. He's worked with QSSBs. He's getting out to meet with our industry partners, and it's just we're really happy and really glad we're able to hit the ground running and just really excited about how much more we can elevate USB and what we can do.
Right. And to me, Lucas, it's your understanding about what it takes to get a job done, and that is if USB was out on its own trying to get these huge projects done to support the U.S. soy industry,
Yep.
It'd be almost impossible to get it done single-handedly.
Well,
it's those partnerships.
Yeah, it's absolutely the power of the collective.
Yeah.
Steve mentioned the QSSBs, and for your listeners, that's really the qualified state soybean boards. That's the foundation of checkoff. Every farmer belongs to a local zip code first. That's the bedrock of promotion and research. And United Soybean Board really comes in on a national level to help the international and domestic efforts. And so partnership is critical. But yeah, we have to punch above our weight each and every day.
Right. When it comes to checkoff dollars, the one thing that farmers want to know is, am I getting a return for the investment that I'm putting into it? If they're getting a return, they're willing to make that investment. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, the expectation of putting dollars in and getting 10s and 20s back
is nice.
That better be the expectation, and that better be how we deliver. Because it is about filling the pipeline of innovation, not just for supply, but also for demand. We have to be out there thinking about the needs of tomorrow. I like to look at it as a three-legged stool, and we're blessed in the soy space. It's not just about a soybean. We get to talk about animal agriculture. We get to talk about energy independence and renewable diesel. And then you throw in the middle of all that, the 1,000+ innovations. Pretty much a petroleum-based product today is a soy opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah. You threw the livestock into it. The U.S. Meat Export Federation, another partner that we should probably mention here, because with every pound of beef, with every pound of pork, with every pound of poultry goes a little bit of soybean meal. That's important to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the majority of our soybean meal all goes to the animal agriculture sector, and we work with USSEC, which is the Poultry and Egg Council, and USMEF, which you just mentioned. And I just came back from Colombia on a mission, and the whole time we were there, we were eating U.S. beef and U.S. pork. So it's a great way to export soybeans. Through that meat. So
yeah, it certainly is. How is the focus of USB right now, Lucas? Is it where you think it needs to be?
Coming in from the outside, it's always nice to be a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
I have been blown away and quite impressed by the 77 volunteer board members, the farmer leaders from across the country. They put together a strategic plan 3 years ago. And frankly, Chip, they nailed it. It is something that's flexible. It's relevant for the here and now. Think about the infrastructure and connectivity. We can raise a crop. We can be proud of that crop, but can we get it to market? Can we get it to market efficiently? And the research dollars, when you're putting dollars on the table, getting 10s and 20s back, the research on the Mississippi, locks and dams, the ability to get the product up the river and out, all of that is a huge part of what the investment of checkoff has been up to. So staying relevant, staying nimble. There's been 3 words that I've heard, and that is transparency, efficiency, and accountability. Farmers demand it, and they should expect every bit of that.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Last segment, the conversation that we were having, sustainability came up. Sustainability it's not the eye roll that it used to get from farmers. I mean, it used to be just kind of like, oh, seriously, are we going to talk about it? Now the message there, I think more farmers are more open to the message, and it's becoming part of U.S. soy's story compared to our competitors, isn't it?
Yeah, it's becoming a bigger deal. And a lot of people, I think, were panicked when we started talking about sustainability, and then they look back and some of the things they're doing, we're reducing soil erosion, we're using cover crops and increasing our water retention capacity. And so all those things that we do on our farms at home are really what the public is asking for. And we've really been kind of at the forefront of that. And we continue to do it with technology by variable rating the fertilizer we're using and making sure it's getting to where it needs to be and not over applying in other areas. And that's just another way that we can continue to write that story.
And it's telling a story that was it's not like what was happening on the farm has changed all that much. It's just telling the story about what is being done, right?
Well, that's what they always said, right? We can tell our story, or somebody else is going to tell it for us.
Exactly.
And the beautiful part of it is the fact that the farmer has been there all along, and finally the conversation's caught up to what's been happening over generations on the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucas, talk to me about investments.
The investments, if you think about the 2024 and beyond, you got to look to the energy space. It's hard not to talk about sustainable aviation fuel and then start connecting the dots to what's next. Is it marine fuel? Is it on the rail systems? The engines that run these tracks. Thinking about how road, rail, river, marine, aviation, all of that's on the table for innovation in my book. I love that energy independence, but it's also the fact that it's the chemistry. What's the chemistry of what we create? The 1,000+ consumer products that are out there. What's the innovation of tomorrow that's going to have exponential scale that brings value back? Because it's not just about volume, it's also value for the farmer and making sure the innovations ultimately answer both questions.
Yeah, when we get into the energy side of things, which is, that's where the investment's got to be. Sometimes it makes for some different partnerships than what we're used to in agriculture, because the American Petroleum Institute, for an example, is behind ASF, or SAF, excuse me. So some different partnerships that we've got to be open to going forward.
Yeah, what got us here won't get us there. And that ability to just think differently. Love the ideation that farmers bring to the table. They do it every day. They're the best innovators in the world. And why wouldn't it be any different in the boardroom with the United Soybean Board? Farmers show up from across the country, they innovate, and they bring practical ideas front and center. And to me, that's the farmer voice each and every day, and I trust it.
Yeah. There's an investment in the future of soybeans that are happening from the energy side of things that I think should be exciting to every soybean farmer out there, right?
I would sure think so. Steve, what do you think?
Oh, I think there's all kinds of things. I think one of the things that we're going to see here in a couple of weeks is our soybean foam, firefighting foam, is made out of soybean meal. And we've all heard the stories about the forever chemicals that are in the current foam that's used, and it's really a hazard. So this is a great way for us to use soybean meal. And another great way for us to look at sustainability and how we're helping that sustainability, message with a new product that, again, is going to use that renewable.
Yeah, truly bringing soy solutions to every day and every way. It's pretty fantastic.
Yep. Lucas, it sounds like you're enjoying the role.
To work for farmers is a dream come true, and to be a leader in an organization like this, the values that the farmers espouse, they just don't talk about them. They live them each and every day. Yeah. It's great to be an American and working for an American farmer.
Very cool. That's Lucas Lentsch, the CEO of the United Soybean Board. Steve is going to stick around for this final conversation here. Thanks so much to USB for sponsoring AgriTalk at Commodity Classic.
Knowledge is power. We're here to charge your batteries. AgriTalk.
Welcome back to Commodity Classic and AgriTalk. Thanks to USB, United Soybean Board, for making our coverage possible from Commodity Classic. And Steve Reinhard, USB Chair, has been kind of a co-host along with me here throughout this morning's show. But I've got him all to myself here in this final segment. Steve, a couple of things. Tell me about your operation. Tell me about how you came to be interested in leadership at USB.
Sure. So we farm soybeans, corn, malting barley, a little bit of hay, north central Ohio, so about an hour north of Columbus, an hour south of the lake, Erie. And so have always been involved in agriculture, growing up in FFA. I taught ag classes for 10 years. When I served in the Ohio House, we drove the ethanol issue home and tried to get got those plants, up and running. And so it just always been involved in ag. And when a spot came up, they asked me to apply for the Ohio Soybean Council, and that's just been a great process going, through that evolution. And we've got some the Arable Research Lab now with the Ohio Soybean Council. We're able to take soybean oil projects and look at the first concept of whether or not this idea is going to work. And if it does, we continue the exploration. And if it doesn't, we're done and we move on and learn from it. Then, gone to USB, just the all the different aspects of everything we're involved in, 77 volunteer farmer leaders, and served as a demand committee chair, work group lead, treasurer, vice chair, and then this year I have the privilege of being the chairman of the United Soybean Board.
To stay on the path, there's got to be rewards along the way. Okay. And I'm not talking about financial rewards. That only gets you so far. It's the sense of accomplishment in that keeps you coming back and doing things, right?
Yeah, it's been a great thing. I mean, like I said, we're 77 voluntary board members, and to be able to go in and look at the projects that we can invest in, and then see those projects come to fruition and return those dollars back. We're the only thing we have to do by USDA is an ROI study, and our last ROI study showed, for every dollar we're investing, we're bringing $12.34 back to the farmer. So that's a composite score. We know some things are higher, some things are lower, but we look at export markets, $17.95 for those exports that when we develop those new markets. We talked earlier today about sub-Saharan Africa and those developing nations. And then we look at all the new uses we have, $18.18 that returns back to the soybean farmers. So we talked about the firefighting foam. We talk about the biofuel use and increasing that use. In the last 2 years, we've increased it by 36%. The infrastructure things we're doing by being able to helping to do the study to dredge the lower Mississippi, where we talked about the P&W
project down there.
All that stuff is adding value back to the U.S. soybean farmers.
Right. Absolutely. And when I think about USB, the first thing that I think about is the export market. That's just where my mind goes. But you've got to stay focused on the domestic market as well.
Yep. We know that animal agriculture is our best customers and our biggest customers when it comes to meal. And we want to encourage, we know we have a great amino acid content, and we know that we've done studies when you feed poultry and pork with soybean meal. It creates more energy for the animal. The animals are healthier, especially at a younger age. And that's another issue that we want to continue to push and see if we can continue to develop those industries around the country. And we know that the world wants to eat more, animal protein. And that's just as their economies continue to grow. We are in Colombia, the third largest importer of U.S. soybean meal for their livestock industry. But the whole time we were there, we were with USMEF, the United States Meat and Export Federation, and we're eating American pork and beef while we're there.
That's very cool. It's very cool. So when I think about the future of the soy industry here in the U.S., there's some really smart people that have been on AgriTalk over the past couple of years that have said that what is coming to the soy industry and through SAF and through renewable diesel is going to be the most disruptive event in the soybean market's history, potentially. That's exciting and scary all at the same time, Steve.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're talking about a transition here. I mean, meal's always been the driver of soybean crush. And now we're seeing oil come into being just as much a driver, if not more than meal. And And the nice thing is when we use that soybean oil for an industrial use, a human use, whether it be frying, cooking oil, which is really what a lot of it's still used for. It's just we have a great quality, high quality meal there, and that's what we continue to look at and how we can drive those uses for that product and just keep that animal ag, especially the animal ag industry, moving.
Yeah, that's one thing that we need consumers to keep in mind is when it comes to soybean oil and the food versus fuel, we can use it for food first.
Oh yeah, we can use it for food first, and that's where our priorities are. And but now we can talk about food and fuel and even fiber and so on down the line. So it's not just
it's an exciting concept for us going forward, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I think this is a great time to be in the soybean industry. I mean, we've been able to ramp up production and we have a little bit of a glitch in some pricing right now, but I think that'll straighten out here over time. And it's just a great opportunity. We look at our board meeting last week. We have infrastructure, connectivity, health and nutrition, innovation and technology. I mean, just all the projects that are coming down the line are really, I think, exciting, and it's going to be good for the U.S. soybean farmer.
Yep. That's one thing about a commodity market. When you run short of supply, everybody knows it, and everybody knows it now. When it comes to building demand, it's a realization market. And like you said, the pricing on soybean oil in particular, that'll get straightened out. It just might take a little time. This was a wonderful conversation, Steve. Thank you so much.
It's been great to have you here, and glad we could invite our friends in, our partners, and work on providing that soy solution to every life every day.
You bet. We're going to be right back here at USB tomorrow morning as well from Commodity Classic. So I'm looking forward to that. Come back this afternoon. We are going to be at Meristem talking markets with Brian Doherty and Rich Nell.